In this video, I'm looking at an R script to create a sort of a bar plot, like the one. So I took this from a biology book by Campbell et al., and I'm trying to sort of create this first one. So we have uh, a control and an experiment, and males and females, and then I'm just doing this first one, this weight, and I'm trying to do what I can in R without doing ggplot. I think for the full thing, I probably need a good help with ggplot to get it done. Okay, but let's see what we can do just in R, sort of on this first one. So we have this data. There is male data and female data. There is control and experiment data. So I decided that I would work with a matrix for that. Okay, so I'm trying to recreate this as much as possible, this plot in Campbell and all. And so I said, I'm going to make a matrix. I'm going to say that the columns are male and female, and that the rows are control and experiment. And then here I'm establishing the data, and I'm saying that there are two rows, control and experiment. And then I'm going to enter the data by rows. So that's this by row true. So that means I'm going to enter one of the rows, the control. So I'm going to enter the male and the female of control, and then the male and female of the experiment. So that's what's this does for me. And so then the 67 was first row is control and first column is male. Then the 161 was control female, and then 76 is experiment male, and then the 185 experiment female. And so I'm establishing that there are here the values for the matrix, that there were two rows, and then I'm putting it in by rows, and then here are the names. So let's run that much of it. And so then here are the column names, the row names, and the matrix. And then here I'm just sort of spitting some out, working like, oh, let's just do this one. So that was a row, the control, and there's the male and the female components, I'll say, of that. Here is the experiment. So in here, the experiment, they had guppies. They had the control was in their natural environment, and then they put them in some other environment with a different predator. Okay, and this is the how big do these guppies get? What's their weight at maturity? But this was the first row and the second row, and this will be the first column. So that's the males for the control, and the females for the control. Okay. That's just the data and understanding the matrix format of the data in this case. Now I'm going to make the bar plot of this matrix data. I'm going to say that beside is true, so it's not going to stack my columns, but just put them side by side. And this is going to control my Y scale. Then I'm going to go up to 250. I'm going a little bit beyond what I need because the highest value was 185. I'm trying to, again, duplicate this. I don't think they went up by 40s. I went up by 50s. So I'm not trying to make it exact, but so I'm going, this makes me go up to 250. I'm making it Dodger blue and gray. So I don't know if that's Dodger blue, but close enough. I'm labeling the y-axis to be the weight of the guppies at maturity. So that'll be here. And then I have a main title, and I just said natural selection in action. And I just took that from somewhere over here, natural selection in action. There it is, natural selection in action. So that's what I chose to be my title, my y-axis label, the colors, the range, if you will. What kind of column graph, what kind of bar graph or column graph am I making? So let's see that. So there is that. Male control, male experiment, female control, female experiment, up to 250, the title, the y-axis label. I am here in line 33. I am adding text. Now this BP, I made my bar plot, but I also said BP equals. And what that gave me was 1.5, 2.5, 4.5, 5.5. This is giving me more or less the positions of the columns of the bars. So this was 1.5 and 2.5, and then there's a gap, so there was no 3.5, and then 4.5 and 5.5. So that was what I got out of sort of saving. So BP was a method, but it returned something, and it returned sort of I'm going to say a vector of x positions of the columns. Okay. So now here in 33, I'm doing text. I'm getting the x, and I'm going to this. I'm working with arrays, so this is going to be not just one line, one part of text, but a vector or an array of texts. So the x's are those BPs, 1.5, 2.5, 4.5, 5.5. The y's are my Guppy values. And the labels of the text are going to be also the Guppy values. And then the 10 here is just something I had to play with, and it depends on this scale. So I wanted it to be above. So if I didn't have the 10, I would be writing sort of like at the top of this line, sort of half above it, half below it. So if I wanted to get them raised up, I added 10 to the y values. But how much did I have to add? That depends on this scale. And so that just was some ad hoc playing. So there are the labels, and maybe I should have gone a little bit more than 10, but there we go. That was the basic idea there. Now this AB line, I want to draw some horizontal lines. Again, I'm trying to get some of the properties of this without going all in on ggplot. So here is AB line, and I'm going to have just h equals something will give me a horizontal line, but I decided to do it as a vector. So I'm making a sequence from 50 to 200 going up by 50s. And so I'm going to get horizontal lines at 50, 100, 150, 200. And I'm giving them a color, and that color I'm using RGB. So the R, the G, and the B are all the same. So it's going to be a gray. And then I'm going to say sort of an alpha, sort of how transparent am I? And then I have to specify that my max that I'm working with on a scale of 255. So I have to explain what I mean by these 127s. So run that. That gives me my semi-transparent gray horizontal lines. And then finally, I'm going to add a legend. I want to explain within the graph that the blue is control and the gray is experiment. And so I use the legend method. I need to position it. I have the most room here in the top left. So I say top left. What are my legends going to be? They're going to be the row names. I remind you, the row names were control and experiment. That's the blue and the gray. And then I'm using this same, the fill is again that Dodger blue and gray. Maybe I should have, saved a separate vector and reused it, but I just sort of retyped it. And let me run that. And then here is this legend. Okay. So by no means as much control as you get out of ggplot, but sort of enough control to get the idea that I'm conveying most of what I wanted to convey here. Just show them side by side. That I'm just doing this first one. So I have the right kind of plot. I wanted male control and male experiment, and then female, and labeled, and some horizontal lines, and a title, and a legend. And so I have the basics of what I want here. That's what I wanted to do in this one. Thanks for your attention.